Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom, I'm David Mנצר, Israeli government spokesman for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Office of the Prime Minister. This Thursday, the 13th of March, day 524 of the October 7th war. Some quick updates from me, and then we'll take some questions. Remember to put your questions in the chat, together with your news outlet, and we will take them. Let me start today with the ceasefire in Lebanon. Every country of goodwill, every moderate and forward-thinking Arab nation in our region, and certainly Israel, should be willing Lebanon to succeed and shake off the deadly influence of Iran, the Shia militia and Hezbollah. As we have already announced, for these talks, international working groups have been formed. Their purpose and remit are clear, and they should be the objectives of all those who want the best for Lebanon and Israel, i.e. not Hezbollah and Iran. Put simply, Israel's objective is simply to stabilize the region. This week, a joint meeting took place in Nakura, right on our northern border in southern Lebanon. Representatives from the IDF took part, together with representatives from the US, France, and of course, Lebanon. So these are the outcomes of that meeting. With the agreement of all the parties, 3 joint working groups are being created to take forward and discuss issues which are in dispute. All of this is in coordination with our US partners. Israel has already announced that as a goodwill gesture to the new Lebanese president, Israel's released 5 Lebanese detainees. Of course, it goes without saying that Israel insists that the agreement is fully enforced and continues to primarily thwart any threat or risk to our sovereignty and the safety of our citizens. All along, we've been clear that for us, a goal of this war is the return of our residents of northern Israel to their homes safely. The return of our residents to their homes in sovereign Israeli territory, that should be fully achieved. Next to our efforts to free our hostages, Israel's delegation is still in Doha. Why? Of course, to explore every single avenue to secure the return of our hostages. Backed by the US, together with other moderate Arab countries, we want them home. Again, in common with moderate Arab countries, we will not accept any arrangement for a Gaza with Hamas in power. Of the original 251 hostages taken October 7th, 59 innocent people remain hostage. Unfortunately, Israel's intelligence believes that less than half are still alive, but we do not know for sure, because in which other conflict in the entire world are hostages not visited by the Red Cross? Our goals of this war, the return of all of our hostages, the elimination of the military and government capabilities of the Hamas terrorist organization, and the removal of the terrorist threat to our citizens, we will not return to the reality that preceded the murderous terrorist attack of October 7th, 2023, and all the while, Israel retains the option to return to intense fighting, even according to the current framework, if these negotiations are not effective. This clause was supported by both the current US administration together with the previous US administration. Next to Syria, Israel today confirmed that 10,000 humanitarian aid packages have been sent to the Druze community in Syria. Over the past few weeks, these 10,000 packages of food and other aid have been delivered to the Druze community in battle areas of Syria. The operation was conducted in coordination with the head of the Druze community, Sheikh Muwafiq Tarif, together with the cooperation of the Druze Religious Council, the IDF and others in the region. Now, these aid packages contained basic foods, including oil, salt, flour, sugar, rice, and more. Most of the packages were delivered to the Jabal al-Druze area, Some were delivered to Druze communities near our border. And as the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister and the entire government have spoken about, Israel has a bold alliance with our Druze brothers and sisters. So many of our Druze brothers and sisters here in Israel serve in the army, have fought in the army, have died for this country. So in a region in which we, the Jewish people, and Israel will always be a minority, it is the right thing to do to assist other minorities. And finally, tonight here in Israel, Jews and Jews the world over will celebrate the festival of Purim. Now, Purim celebrates the dramatic reversal of fortune whereby the Persian despot Haman, and King Ahasuerus and their plot to destroy the Jews was upended, literally turned on its head, leading instead to Haman's downfall and the triumph of Mordechai and Esther and the Jewish people. That's the theme of Purim, everything being turned upside down. So we say, whether in good times or bad, especially in dark times, destiny can shift in unexpected and indeed redemptive ways. So that's the end of our briefing here today. Please put your questions in the chat together with your news outlet, and we will take some of these questions I can see here. First question here is from Jason Perry of NTD News. Can any Gazans voluntarily leave the Gaza Strip? If yes, what is the process? Thank you for that question, Jason. Jason, a Gazan should be able to go to the Egyptian border and tell his Arab brother on that Egyptian border and ask them if he can leave. Unfortunately, Egypt has not allowed their Arab brothers and sisters to get out of Gaza. They haven't allowed it. They've strengthened their border. They haven't allowed anyone to escape from this war. I think it's a source of shame for Egypt, actually, that they have not allowed Egyptians Gazans who voluntarily wish to escape this conflict to leave. In an ideal world, that would be the way which Gazans could voluntarily leave the Gaza Strip. Next question here is from Alexander Cornwell from Reuters, and let me just see. It's a question about Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's chief of staff, who said today that Prime Minister Netanyahu will visit in the next few weeks. If this is correct, if so, when does the Prime Minister intend to visit, and what assurances has he received regarding that visit? Thank you for that question, Alex. I haven't got anything to share with you. It's normally the way we run things here is not to announce the Prime Minister's visits ahead of time. When it is ready to announce if that is indeed about to happen, we will certainly let you know, but I haven't got any additional information for you on that. Next question. Question here from David Clement from the News Forum. Does the Prime Minister's office have a response to the UNHCR report accusing Israel of the systematic use of sexual, reproductive and other gender-based violence? Thank you for that question, David. If you ever wanted to know what the word chutzpah means, it means bare-faced cheek. Hamas, which sought to sacrifice all of its people, it's not upset that there are civilians killed in Gaza. It only wishes there were more civilians killed in Gaza. Hamas, that instituted the most appalling sexual violence against Israel's people. Dozens of our people, women and men, were sexually abused, raped, killed, mutilated, sometimes in front of their families, with the purpose of which was to create degradation and dehumanization and shame. They sought to shame our people. Now, for the UN, which should be on the side of humanity and of decency, to take the side of Hamas is absolutely appalling. Let me lay this out for you. In Gaza, Israel found that almost every single medical institution was infiltrated by Hamas. Our hostages actually told us, indeed, hospital CCTV actually showed us that Israeli hostages were held within Gazan hospitals, particularly the Nasser Hospital and Al-Shifa Hospital. Indeed, in middle of January 2024, just over a year ago, our released Israeli hostage, Aloni Kunio, told the world that she and her children and dozens of other hostages were detained in Nasser Hospital. She gave real evidence that Hamas used these hospitals to conceal hostages that they kidnapped during the October 7th massacre and attack on our country. Indeed, her husband, David Cuneo, actually still remains in captivity. We know, for instance, that Al-Shifa Hospital was used by Hamas for terror purposes, including the holding of hostages. On November the 16th, 2023, our IDF, our own Israeli Defense Forces, discovered the body of 65-year-old Israeli hostage Yehudit Weiss actually in the hospital complex. The following day, the body of 19-year-old Corporal Noah Marciano was found also in a building adjacent to the hospital. We found rocket-propelled grenades in the maternity wards. We found grenades in the cafeterias, AK-47s in the MRI unit. This is the crimes of which we are being accused of are precisely the crimes which Hamas instituted. Again, Israeli hostages were held in Gaza hospitals, not for treatment, but for torture. That is why our Prime Minister today has actually said that the UN's Human Rights Council is an anti-Israel circus. It's long been exposed as an anti-Semitic, rotten, terrorist-supporting and irrelevant body. That's why Israel withdrew from it. About a month ago, there has been no focus on the crimes against humanity and the war crimes committed by Hamas, by the Hamas terrorist organization. Just this attempt to cover them up. Nothing on the crimes which they've committed. Nothing on the worst massacre committed against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Nothing, no. The UN instead seeks to attack Israel. So, David, these are false accusations, including unfounded accusations of sexual violence. The Council speaks for Hamas. Why? Because, just like UNRWA, they want Hamas to win. This is not a Human Rights Council. As the Prime Minister said, this is a blood libel council. Jew hatred and lies from the past, from medieval times, brought right up to date for 2025. So we say in a loud and united voice from here in Israel to the UNHCR, shame on you, shame on this rotten body, and shame on the United Nations. Another question here from Joel Pollack at Breitbart News asking, does the recent UN Human Rights Council report against Israel validate the decision by Donald Trump to withdraw from that body? Would you say that efforts to reform that body have failed? Thank you for that question, Joel. Well, President Trump and his decision, I think, that's certainly only a matter for the US administration. But we say from here in Israel, this is precisely why Israel pulled out of the United Nations, HCR. It is not a Human Rights Council. It's just another body to cover up the crimes against the Jewish people and to be an advocate for Hamas. Just like UNRWA, these organizations want Hamas to win. That's why in UNRWA schools they taught that soon Palestinians in Gaza would uproot Israelis from their homes. That's why it's clear from this report that these bodies within the United Nations, they want Hamas to win. But thankfully, Israel is strong, we are united, our people are determined, and no matter what these shameless organizations say, we will defend ourselves. That's the difference between now and 1939. In 1939, when the Nazis instituted blood libels and the horrific crimes against our people, we were not able to defend ourselves. Now we are. We have our own homeland. Our homeland was attacked on October the 7th, a year and a half ago, but our country fought them off. They defeated this dreadful terrorist organization, not completely. Yes, of course, it has been at a very heavy price. We still have 59 of our people ruthlessly held in contravention of every single act of decency, every humanitarian law which exists in mankind. But we are strong, we are determined, and we will be successful, no matter what these blood libel organizations at the UN try to defame us with. Okay, my friends, that is the last question we have here today. Thank you for joining us. We'll have another briefing soon. In the meantime, for interviews or for comment, please do contact us. We'll be happy to help in the usual way. Please do stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.